Good afternoon, one and all. I welcome you all to Ganesh IAS Academy. In today's session, we'll be seeing environment-based current affairs. Let us get into the news articles one by one. The first news that we are going to discuss is greenwashing. So, what is this concept called greenwashing? Actually, a previous year question was asked on greenwashing, okay, in the year 2022. We'll be discussing that also. So, let us understand why this greenwashing is again in news, okay. So, greenwashing. UK banned Air France, Lufthansa, and Etihad. These three airlines advertisements over greenwashing claims. Okay. So, these three airlines have claimed greenwashing. I mean, they have claimed to be environmentally friendly. Okay. In their advertisements, and those claims are considered greenwashing claims. So, we must have to understand the term what greenwashing is. Okay. So the airlines were found to be misleading customers about their sustainability efforts and accused of greenwashing. So what is greenwashing here? It is when firms and governments give a false impression, okay, that all of their products or activities are climate friendly or their products help in reducing emissions. So when they make a false impression, that is called as greenwashing. They make false impression that their activities and products are climate friendly and those products are helping in reducing emissions. Actually, they are not, but then they are making false claims. That is called as greenwashing. Moreover, greenwashing may also occur when company highlights sustainable aspects of a product just to overshadow its environmentally damaging activities. Okay, a company may be having environmentally damaging activities, but to overshadow that, they claim such sustainable activities. They claim that their activities are sustainable, that they claim that their activities are environment friendly. Okay, so this is what we need to understand from the concept of greenwashing. What else do we have to know from this news article? Furthermore, about greenwashing, so it is performed through the use of environmental imagery, misleading labels, and hiding trade-offs. Okay, and then it is a play on the term whitewashing. Okay, already we have this term whitewashing, and from that only this greenwashing term has emerged. Okay, so what is whitewashing here? It is using information to intentionally hide wrongdoing, error, or an unpleasant situation. That is called as whitewashing. So just like that, if it is done for environmental friendly stuffs, then it is called as greenwashing. Okay, and there is a growing tendency among the firms and governments to make all kinds of activities that they do as climate friendly or environment friendly. Okay, so this is the reason why this greenwashing is growing day by day, and many of these claims are unverifiable and dubious. We cannot verify whether the claims that they make are correct or not. Okay, and then they are also dubious, and these claims help in boosting the image of the entity or the company, and sometimes they even help them in garnering benefits. Okay, but in real sense, okay, in reality, they do nothing in fight against climate change. So that is why it is greenwashing. Okay, they are making false claims. Now we must have to understand about the aviation industry and the emissions related to aviation industry, because the news here is related to aviation sector and their false claims, false environmental claims. So let us understand about the current contribution of aviation sector to the emissions. Okay, so currently the aviation industry is responsible for approximately 2.5% of all the human produced carbon dioxide emissions, and this is according to UN Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, that is UN IPCC, which was estimated in the year 2022. Okay, and this may seem like a modest contribution. So you might think that this is a modest contribution, very little, 2.5%, but then it is set to grow at a very fast pace. So the same body, that is IPCC, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, has said that aviation's contribution could increase to 5% of the total contribution by the year 2050 if measures are not taken to address these emissions. So we must have to take measures to address these emissions. If not, the contribution of the aviation sector to emissions may go as high as 5% of the total. Okay, and then the highest predicted value is 15% in some cases. Okay, and not only this, it isn't just carbon dioxide emission. We saw here it is 2.5% of all the human produced carbon dioxide emission. But then aviation sector not only emits carbon dioxide emissions, there are other non-carbon dioxide emissions also, like water vapor and other things. If these non-carbon dioxide emissions are also accounted, then the airline industry would be responsible for causing almost 5% of the historical global warming. Okay, so this is what we need to know about the aviation sector's contribution to emissions. Next, we need to understand about a particular concept called bunker fuels. These aviation fuels, international aviation fuels, are considered as bunker fuels. Why is that? That is because the emissions from the domestic flights are attributed to the country's emission accounts. Okay, if it is domestic flights, then it is attributed to the country's emission accounts. But the emissions from the international flights are not attributed to any of the country. Okay, thus these emissions are instead counted as bunker fuels, and no country has any responsibility to curtail these emissions. So what are bunker fuels here? Those fuels which are used for international aviation and maritime transport is called as bunker fuels. Okay, and then no country has any responsibility to curtail the emissions from these bunker fuels. So this is also important to be understood. Next, this is the question that I talked about, which was asked in the year 2022, which is related to greenwashing. So which one of the following best describes the term greenwashing? This was asked in 2022. See the options here. Conveying a false impression that a company's products are eco-friendly and environmentally sound. This is what we discussed now. So this is the correct option here. Let us see the other options also so that you will get an idea. So if you are not aware of this term greenwashing, then you may get confused with the other options also. See the other options. Non-inclusion of ecological or environmental cost in the annual financial statement of a country, that is in budget of a country. Ignoring the disastrous ecological consequences while undertaking infrastructure development. This is also more related. Next, making mandatory provisions for environmental cost in government projects and programs. So these options may be confusing. Only if you know very clearly that this is greenwashing, then you can go for answering such questions. Okay, so that is why current affairs based questions are important. The topic that we are going to discuss now is winter expedition to the Arctic. So India has made its first winter expedition to Arctic. That is why it is in news. So the Union Minister of Earth Sciences flagged off the India's maiden winter expedition to the Arctic already in the year 2007. Okay, so since 2007, India has been undertaking summer expeditions to the Arctic region, and in the year 2008, India has set up its permanent research base in Himadri. Okay, this research base is called Himadri. This is not the Himadri mountains of Himalayas. Okay, not in the Himalayan mountain range, but this is a permanent research base which is called Himadri. It is present in this Ny-Ålesund region of Svalbard, which is located in Norway, which is part of Norway. Okay, and then for this winter expedition, the Norwegian agencies, okay, because it is happening in Norway. Okay, so the Norwegian agencies have extended their logistical and other support to the visiting Indian team, for whom it is the maiden visit to the Arctic region. So this is the first time winter expedition is happening from India. Okay, what else do we have to understand? Why this winter expedition that we need to know? Before that, this is that Himadri that we talked about. Okay, this Himadri is the research base which is located in Svalbard. Okay. So where is this Svalbard located? It is here. Okay, it is actually part of Norway. Norway is here. This Svalbard is part of Norway. So these are all the countries which is located in the Arctic Circle. They are the countries which belong to the Arctic Circle. So if we see country wise, it is Russia, United States, that is Alaska part of United States, Canada, Greenland, Iceland, Norway, Sweden and Finland. These are all the countries which are part of Arctic Circle. Okay, and here Svalbard is located where India has its research base called Himadri. Okay. So what is the importance of Arctic expeditions? Why do we have to do Arctic expeditions? That is because India is a tropical country. We all know that, and India is geographically located many kilometers away from the Arctic region, but any change in the Arctic region has a direct implication for India's climate. That is why we are doing such research in Arctic regions. And then scientifically, Arctic is very important to India. That is because there is a strong Arctic India monsoon relationship. So Arctic region and Indian monsoon are interrelated, are related. Okay, there is a relationship. See here, the Barents Kara Sea regions diminished ice. Okay, diminishing of ice in the Barents Kara Sea region caused significant rainfall events in India during the second half of the monsoon season between September and October every year. Okay, so that is how the climate wise it is related. Okay, and then there is also other issue, that is the impact of global warming in the Arctic region, which is the most vulnerable region of the world. And then global warming causes sea ice melting and it has direct effects on Arctic's marine environment. Okay, so this is also yet another reason why we are doing this Arctic expedition. One is it is directly related to India's monsoon. Another thing is global warming. Because of global warming, sea level rise is happening, which is affecting many other regions of the world, including India. Okay, so this is why such expeditions are done. So this is that Barents and Kara Sea that we discussed about. So Barents Sea is located here, and then Kara Sea is here. Kara Sea is over Russia. Okay, Barents Sea is over this Finland, and then Norwegian Sea, Greenland Sea are located, and this is where that Svalbard is located, where Himadri is there. Okay. So any change in this region, the sea ice melting in this region is affecting India's monsoon. That is what we need to understand here. Next, we need to understand a concept called Arctic amplification. So what is this Arctic amplification? Warming that is occurring in the region of the planet which is north of 67° north is known as Arctic amplification. So it is just warming. Okay. And the Arctic has experienced 2 to 3 times faster temperature increases than the rest of the world during the past 4 decades. And glaciers and snowpacks are melting due to high temperatures. Moreover, permafrost has begun to thaw and collapse. Permafrost is melting and it is collapsing, and sea ice is vanishing. So these are all the effects of global warming on the Arctic. And these effects, these consequences, heat related consequences, result temperature rise. So these are consequences, but then they are leading to additional temperature rise. So they are contributing to global warming. So they are becoming cause also. So the effect turns into cause. These are effects. Heat related consequences are effects. They are turning into a cause now. It is getting into a loop. Okay, so which turns into a bigger effect. This in turn will turn into a bigger effect, that again will turn into a more potent cause. Okay, so this is how it is entering into an accelerating feedback loop, and this feedback loop of global warming is called as Arctic amplification, which speeds up the climate change in the rest of the world. So any change in the Arctic region is reflected in the rest of the parts of the world. Understand from Arctic amplification. So we discussed Arctic amplification. So is there a similar condition or similar event happening in Antarctic region also? No. Okay, so there is no Antarctic amplification in contrast to Arctic. Okay, although some areas of the Antarctica are warming far more quickly than the rest of the world, the overall warming has been similar. Okay, and this is because of the huge southern ocean. Okay, so the huge southern ocean which envelops the Antarctica is absorbing the majority of the surplus heat in the atmosphere. That is why it is not facing such amplifications kind of situation. Okay, and yet another thing that we have to note here is India is making such scientific expeditions in the polar areas. Okay, so India's scientific expeditions to the Earth's pole, be it Arctic or Antarctic, it is facilitated under a scheme called PACER scheme. What is PACER scheme? Polar and Cryosphere scheme. That is PACER scheme of the Ministry of Earth Sciences, which is solely done through the aegis of National Center for Polar and Ocean Research, which is located in Goa. Okay, and this center is an autonomous institute of Ministry of Earth Sciences. Okay, so this is what we need to understand from this winter expedition which is done recently by India. Okay, the topic that we are going to discuss now is pelagic birds on Karnataka's coast. So what are these pelagic birds? Okay, and why are they found in Karnataka's coast, and what is their situation, and what are all the different adaptations made by these pelagic birds? All these details will be seen. So pelagic birds on Karnataka's coast. 180 bird watchers from across India documented rare pelagic birds off the Karnataka's coast in 2023, the previous year. Okay, so significant sightings of these birds include sooty shearwater, brown squaw, brown booby, streaked shearwater, and masked booby. These are examples of the pelagic birds which are found off Karnataka's coast. And the bird watchers found that the density of the pelagic birds has come down, okay, from the previous year, from the last year, that is 2022, and this is because of declining fish stocks near the coast. Okay, this they have found. Now we have to understand what pelagic birds are. We are talking a lot about pelagic birds, but what are pelagic birds? Let us understand that. Pelagic birds are bird species that spend a significant portion of their lives on open ocean. Open ocean is the key term here. Okay, so they spend a significant portion of their lives on the open ocean, which is far from land. Okay, so these birds are specifically adapted to life in the marine environment. And then the term pelagic is derived from the Greek word pelagos. What is pelagos? Pelagos means open sea. Okay, so they are thriving in the open sea, which is far from land. Okay, so this is one best example of pelagic bird. And what are all the different adaptations made by pelagic bird? They are living in a different environment. Okay, they must be adapted to a different situation. So let us see what are all the adaptations made by these pelagic birds. One is distinctive wing adaptation. So these pelagic birds have exceptionally long and thin wings, okay, which allow them to fly effortlessly for long periods without any rest. So they have long and thin wing. This is one adaptation, and the best example here are albatross, frigate birds, fulmars, petrels, and shearwaters. Okay. Next, salt adaptation mechanism. They are going to be in a salty area. Okay, they are exposed to salt. Okay, so they have certain salt adaptation mechanisms. So many pelagic birds have special salt glands. Okay, to digest salt. Okay, so this allows them to drink salt water and discard extra salt accidentally ingested in their oceanic prey. Okay, so they can drink salt water and the extra salt is digested by them because of this salt adaptation mechanism. Next, they have a unique feeding strategy. What is that? Some pelagic seabirds have one astounding way of acquiring food. That is a technique called as kleptoparasitism. So what is this kleptoparasitism? It involves an act of robbing smaller species of their prey. Okay, so they rob smaller species of their prey. This is one kind of parasitism. They are dependent on the smaller species for food. Okay, so kleptoparasitism, it is one adaptation made by, or one strategy adopted by pelagic birds. So they will be having long and thin wings, and then this is best example of kleptoparasitism. This bird is hunting for its food. Okay, after this bird gets its food, this bird, the bigger one, is snatching or stealing the food from the smaller bird. Okay, so this is how kleptoparasitism works. So this bird is dependent on this bird, that is why it is parasitism. Okay. Next, what other adaptations? Limited land interaction. Okay, so except for breeding, which they do on isolated islands for protection, the birds rarely approach land. So they have limited land interaction, and they are found thousands of miles offshore, but they can be blown onto land during high winds and storms. So they come to land only during high winds and storms, and some birds like albatross may spend years at sea before returning to land for reproduction. Okay, so only for reproduction they come to land. Rest of the time they spend even years and years in the sea. Okay, in the open sea. Next, they have a social behavior. What is the social behavior here? So most seabirds form colonies. So they live as colonies and they migrate annually, and they are monogamous. What is monogamous? Mating one partner for lifetime. That is monogamy. Okay. Next, there are threats which are faced by these pelagic birds. What are all the threats? Most of the threats are human-induced activities like oil spill, interaction with fishing operation, exposure to pollutants, the marine pollutants, disturbance from human presence or activities, and the destruction of their natural habitat. Okay, because of many construction activities, I mean oil extraction activities which is happening offshore and other things. Okay, next is, what is their lifespan when compared to other wild birds? Okay, seabirds generally have a longer life expectancy compared to other wild birds, with many living an average of 50 years. So these are all the different adaptations and different characteristics of pelagic birds that we need to know. The topic that we are going to discuss now is biodiversity credits, or simply called as bio credits. So what is bio credits? Let us understand. Biodiversity credits or bio credits are increasingly being pushed as a means of financing. So it is a means for financing work on various targets which are set under Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, which was adopted in the year 2022 at the 15th Conference of Parties of the Convention on Biological Diversity. So, at the 15th Conference of Parties, or the COP, of the Convention on Biological Diversity, this framework, that is Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, was adopted, and that framework has various targets, has 23 targets, and that one of the target focuses on the financing work, and that financing work is called as biodiversity credits. Okay, it is similar to the carbon credits. Let us understand that. So this framework has 23 targets to meet the core goals of the Convention on Biodiversity. What are the three core goals of Convention on Biodiversity? One is conservation of biodiversity. Next is using biodiversity, sustainable use of biodiversity, and the third one is fair and equitable benefit sharing of the profits which is arising from the sustainable use of biodiversity. Okay, so these are all the core areas or the core goals of Convention on Biodiversity. And recognizing that finding enough funds for biodiversity is likely to be a stumbling block to the success of this framework, they are recognize this, that finance will be a stumbling block. Thus they have this target 19, which stipulates that innovative schemes such as bio credits be used to encourage private investment. Okay, so of the 23 targets, the 19th target is focusing on resource mobilization. Okay, so these are all the 23 targets of Kunming Montreal framework. Okay, so here if you see the 19th target, it is resource mobilization. Here is where the bio credits come in. Okay, it is a form of financing work to achieve those targets. Okay, next, the CBD, that is Convention on Biodiversity, during the 22nd, the year 2022, in its 15th Conference of Party, has estimated that at least $200 billion is needed each year to protect biodiversity. So this bio credits is actually similar to carbon credits, which is used to control the greenhouse gas emissions. This carbon credits are used to control greenhouse gas emissions, and bio credits are similar to it. But you must have to understand this, that these bio credits are not designed to offset or compensate for actions with negative impacts on biodiversity, just like carbon credits. Okay, instead these bio credits proceeds, the proceeds from the sale of the bio credits are used to protect and restore the biodiversity where it exists. So they are not going to offset or compensate for the actions with negative impacts. Rather, the proceeds from the sale of this bio credits are going to be used to protect and restore biodiversity where the biodiversity exists. Okay. Next, to promote bio credits, the Biodiversity Credit Alliance was also created or launched in COP15 in the year 2022, and throughout the year 2023, efforts were made to promote the bio credits at different fora, and they were also discussed in the COP28 of UNFCCC, that is United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, which happened in Dubai in December 2023. Okay, and as of now, bio credits are at an early stage of implementation, and a comprehensive list of scheme is not available. Okay, so in future, many schemes and initiatives related to bio credits or biodiversity credits will be coming. Okay, so this is what we need to understand about biodiversity credits, or simply bio credits. The topic that we are going to discuss now is snow leopard. Why is snow leopard in news? Let us understand. The snow leopard is now the national symbol of Kyrgyzstan, which is a former Soviet republic located in the Central Asia. Okay, snow leopard. This snow leopard was an important symbol of Kyrgyz culture. Okay, and it features in the story of Manas. Okay, who's Manas here? He is Kyrgyz folk hero, and it is related to the epic of Manas. Okay, that is the reason why snow leopard is chosen as the national symbol of Kyrgyzstan recently. Okay, so now we have to understand more about snow leopard and its protection status, where its habitat is, its geographical extent, and other things. Okay, so its scientific name is Panthera uncea. Panthera uncea, and this snow leopard acts as an indicator of the health of the mountain ecosystem. They live in mountains, okay, in snowy mountains. So they act as an indicator of the health of the mountain ecosystem in which they live, because they are positioned as the top predator in the food web in their ecosystem. Okay, and talking about its habitat, mountainous regions of Central and Southern Asia is where you can find snow leopard, and in India, their geographical range encompasses Western Himalayas and Eastern Himalayas. Western Himalayas include states like Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, and Uttarakhand, and Eastern Himalayas include states like Sikkim and Arunachal Pradesh. Moreover, snow leopard capital of the world, Ladakh, the Hemis National Park, or in general Ladakh, is called as the snow leopard capital of the world, and this Hemis National Park is the biggest national park in India, and it also has a good population of snow leopard. Okay. Next, we are moving to the protection status of snow leopard. So, the snow leopard is listed as vulnerable on the IUCN Red List of threatened species. So, it is vulnerable under IUCN Red List. And in addition, it is also listed in Appendix 1 of the Convention on International Trade of Endangered Species of Wild Flora and Fauna, that is CITES. Okay, thus making trading of animal body parts, that is snow leopards body parts like fur, bone and meat, illegal in the signatory countries. Okay, and then it is also listed in Schedule 1 of India's Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, and it is also listed in the Convention on Migratory Species. Okay, so there are range of countries in which snow leopard is found, and the snow leopard will be migrating from one country to another. That is the reason why they are listed in the Convention on Migratory Species, thus affording the highest conservation status to the species both globally and in India. Okay. Moreover, it is also protected by several national laws and in its range countries. Let us understand what are all the range countries. So there are certain conservation efforts taken for the conservation of snow leopard. The first one is the snow leopard conservation received a boost a decade ago with Bishkek Declaration on Snow Leopard Protection, which was unanimously adopted at the World Snow Leopard Conservation Forum in the year 2013. Okay, and then there is also another effort or initiative, that is Global Snow Leopard Ecosystem Protection Program, which was initiated with the support of representatives from the 12 snow leopard range countries, which includes India, and the international environmental community to save this particular species, that is snow leopard. So what are all the countries, that is snow leopard range countries here? It is India, Nepal, Bhutan, China, Mongolia, Russia, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan and Uzbekistan. Okay, so these are all the Central Asian countries and the other Asian countries here. Okay, so this is what we need to understand from this topic. The topic that we are going to discuss now is Himachal sets target to be a clean and green energy state. Let us understand the topic in detail. So Himachal sets target to be a clean and green energy state. Why and how? Himachal Pradesh government has made two major decisions on January 1st, 2024. What were the two major decisions? One is all government officers have been prohibited from purchasing petrol or diesel vehicles from January 1, 2024. That is the first decision. And the second decision is, under another scheme, people will be paid rupees 20,000 per month if they donate 3 bighas of land for construction of solar power plant. Okay, so this was the second decision which was made, and these decisions have been taken to make Himachal Pradesh a clean and green energy state by March 31st, 2026. Okay, so here we saw 3 bighas. So what is bighas here? Bighas is actually a measurement of land. Okay, so what is bigha here? Bigha is a traditional unit of measurement of area of a land commonly used in northern India, Bangladesh and Nepal. In northern India, it includes states like Uttarakhand, Haryana, Himachal Pradesh, Punjab, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Jharkhand, West Bengal, Assam, Gujarat and Rajasthan. In these states, this bigha is used as a measurement for land. Okay, and these points are also important, that there is no standard size of bigha. Okay, just like other measurements of land, there is no standard size for bigha, and then it keeps changing. So the size of bigha varies considerably from place to place. This is to be understood. Now coming back to the news, that is Himachal Pradesh government will be taking, it has taken two new decisions for it to become cleaner and greener state by March 31st, 2026. So Himachal government will now only purchase electric vehicles. for the government purposes, it will only purchase electric vehicles. To promote electric vehicles, it has also been decided to develop 6 highways as green corridors, and a 50% subsidy will be provided for the purchase of electric vehicles in the Himachal Pradesh state. And the number of electric vehicles in Himachal Pradesh has increased to over 3,000 as a result of the efforts to promote these electric vehicles. And according to the government, according to Himachal Pradesh government, Himachal Pradesh is the first state to prohibit the purchase of petrol and diesel vehicles in government departments. Okay, so this is what we need to understand from this particular topic. So with this, we have come to end of today's session. I hope you found the session to be very useful and informative. Let us see in the next session. Thank you.